There's two forms of energy. You have the electrical energy, and you have the human energy. It blasts through anything. It can go around the problem like water.
Kann man so sagen, ja. Wirklich eine Erfolgsgeschichte, Wahnsinnsgeschichte. Das hat angefangen mit einer kleinen Bürgerinitiative. 10 Leute bei meinen Eltern am Esstisch. Ja, und irgendwann stieß auch der Pfarrer dazu. Er hat gesagt, wir planen auf unserer Kirche ein Solardach. Da hat das Landesdenkmal gesagt, wieso? Auf diese Kirche kommt kein Solardach. So dass wir gesagt haben, das wollen wir doch mal sehen. Und haben dann die ersten 4 Module einfach ohne Genehmigung auf das Kirchendach geschraubt. Jetzt haben wir hier eine schöne Kirche mit Solardach. Ich habe damals erfahren, dass es wahnsinnig viele tolle Menschen gibt. Und da haben auch immer mehr Leute mitgemacht. Wir machen jetzt hier unsere eigene Energierevolution.
If you look at revolutions that succeeded, the initiatives taken by citizens. Most of the people still don't trust the big companies to solve the problems of the people. The global economy has gone mad, and the local economy is dying. Farmers don't earn enough, they leave. There's no hospital, there's no internet. We have the problem of energy poverty, climate change. We have big problems. But I strongly believe that when you show people that by working together, by cooperating, that we can take control of the energy production of the future. Solve so many problems.
Können wir ihm trauen? Können wir der Großindustrie trauen? Interessante Frage. Mein Gefühl würde sagen, nein.
What do I have to do?
We're talking about you. What makes you tick?
Yes, I don't have a rational explanation.
No one ever comes out and goes, you know what, we should just frack this puppy.
He's ready.
You ready for this? Yeah.
Years ago, we found an old, derelict, ruinous mill. And then they told us, yeah, this is not only a mill, but it also produced electricity until 1968. And so we had this crazy idea there. Ten years ago, we created renewable energy cooperatives called EcoPower to help citizens create energy from the wind and sun. In the beginning, it was a lonely fight. We were only a handful of people, and people laughed at what we were doing. And now we have 60,000 members, publicly owned and not for profit. It was a success. And we wanted to promote the model around Europe. And so we created a European Federation of Citizen Energy Cooperatives, Renewable Energy Sources Cooperatives, which is called RESCOOP. And now we represent about 1,500 of these energy cooperatives. Every month we have new members. I was very honored that last year they chose the Energy Rebel of the Year, and I was chosen as their rebel. I'm very proud of it. My name is Dirk van Sint-Jan. Why do they call me a rebel? Because I'm trying to promote ideas that are threatening to the existing way of doing things. When the electricity came to the countryside, it happened in a very decentralized way. Often it was a windmill, a water mill, a factory with a steam engine that started producing electricity, and they supplied their neighbors with it. And that's how Europe was electrified. Energy cooperatives were created to solve a problem. But then electricity became more than light in a house. It was driving engines and factories. So countries thought it was very important that there was security of supply. So they favored centralization, coal-fired power plants, nuclear power plants. So now we have a centralized system in almost every country in Europe. This whole system is fueled by uranium from gas, oil, coal, hydropower. It delivers its electricity to the high-tension grid, and then it goes to the people in their homes. We have to buy it, and the money goes out of their community, out of their local area. The producers, they are mainly monopolies, privately owned, and the money goes abroad. And so now we go to a very different decentralized system. The grid is owned by the local people. There are wind farms and solar panels in the fields. The roofs are full of solar panels. Most of the electricity that is produced is consumed at home. It's stopping the drain of money going out, and then the money accumulates. And it's spent locally, and people decide what they will do with the profits. The community ownership is the key. This is the concept of community energy. So this is the bright, decentralized future we are working on. What really struck me when I was very young was that most of the people still thought, we have no problem with energy, so they just built nuclear power plants. I think in a lot of countries where nuclear power was installed, it was a sort of a religion. We believe nuclear power, we will have energy for free. That was in the 70s, that was the story. Soon electricity will be for free.
Viel darüber geredet, dass das eine Technologie ist. Das kam schon relativ schnell in den ersten Tagen. Meine Eltern würden selber sagen, die waren früher absolut obrigkeitshörig.
Ganz Europa steht voller Atomanlagen.
Damals war ja Atomkraft noch in der Mehrheit akzeptiert.
Wir haben nichts mit Umwelt zu tun gehabt. Wir haben uns mit solchen Dingen gar nicht beschäftigt.
They were building nuclear power plants without permit. They just built it. Spain and Denmark, France and Germany, they're everywhere. But now we know it was naive.
Und dann kam Tschernobyl. Und das ist wie eine Bombe eingeschlagen in unsere Familie.
Da war ich 9 Jahre alt, da habe ich natürlich nur noch so blitzlichtartige Erinnerungen. Bei meinen Eltern, mein Vater hat in meiner Erinnerung, das war Fassungslosigkeit. Wie kann denn sowas passieren? Atomenergie ist doch sicher. Das kann doch gar nicht passieren. Und wie kann diese Radioaktivität über Tausende von Kilometern hierher kommen?
Da kam die Nachricht aus Schweden. Das war für mich die erste Nacht in meinem Leben, wo ich überhaupt nicht geschlafen habe, weil mir das da wirklich wie die Schuppen vor den Augen gefallen ist, was das bedeutet.
Ich kann mich daran erinnern, dass die Hilflosigkeit unserer Eltern, die Ratlosigkeit, dass uns das als Kinder Angst gemacht hat. Man sieht diese Bedrohung nicht, man riecht sie nicht, man schmeckt sie nicht. Das war sehr unheimlich. Kann ich mich noch erinnern, dass ich in dieser Nacht schlecht einschlafen konnte, weil ich dachte, ich müsse jetzt sterben? Ich sei total nuklear verseucht und müsse jetzt sterben. Ja. Die haben bis zu dem Tag geglaubt, dass Atomenergie sicher ist. Ich habe das Gefühl, wir Menschen haben die Erde mit unseren problematischen Wirtschaftsweisen wirklich an den Rand einer Katastrophe geführt. Ich möchte gerne Teil der Lösung sein und nicht Teil des Problems. Auch da können wir uns nicht auf Regierungen oder große Konzerne verlassen. Wenn wir das erkannt haben und das wahrnehmen, ja, es liegt letztlich an uns allen.
Over the past 20 years, the centralized energy system has created many big problems. In Europe, quite a lot of people have difficulties in paying their bills, their energy bills. It's the problem of energy poverty.
In the UK, we have a system built over the last 100 years of centralized energy owned by these big corporates who have no responsibility to the individual communities. They're all conglomerates that own everything. Then at the same time, so many people are struggling, stuck between the dilemma between I heat their home or I eat food, which one do I pay for?
Quite often didn't necessarily have the groceries that we needed because we had to put that money towards heating, especially in the wintertime. I mean, there's lots of elderly people that are dying because they're afraid to put the heating on because they know then the bill's going to come, they won't be able to afford to pay it. And one of the things that I really noticed is that a lot of the young people, they feel disengaged from society. They feel that whatever happens, it's not for them.
I've seen so many people without any opportunity or hope. This is not an energy issue. This is about global capitalism out of control. Individuals see the future of their young people being taken away for profit. The question is, how do you embed these kids into society and give them a chance, not a way out of their communities, but a way into society? What we have to do here is level the playing field. "200 years ago, coal miners were trying to fight against the big coal companies who were putting them into serfdom. And so coal miners built a cooperative that would allow them one vote, one shareholding, so that no matter how much money you had invested, you'd have the same say as your neighbor. They were taking control of their own future in the face of corporate forces that were so powerful. And that's what we need in the UK right now. Not with coal, but through community-owned renewable energy.
So just like I explained, there's a positive and the negative side. So when you connect two batteries together, you're going to connect the positive side of one battery to the negative side of the other.
It's very empowering. Something that we've built is able to power ourselves the same way gardening, you can kind of maybe grow your own tomatoes, you can create your own electricity. Essential things that you need to live, you can have the power in your own hands to control them.
So when the community comes together to form a project of a renewable energy, it means that they own power, so it's their money and it's their energy. It's just like a continual cycle that they don't have to rely on the government to be paying for them. They can just do the thing themselves, get their energy for themselves.
Okay, so everybody show us your strings you've been working on. Show us the strings you've been working on.
Mine is a little work.
In Brixton, we had a whole bunch of people who said, we want to reduce fuel poverty, so we're going to give people energy advice, and we're going to do installations of measures into people's homes. So any revenue that comes off of the solar panels on the rooftop, sells into the building, that revenue goes into the community. Okay, hello, that works.
So you now have 2 sets of 6.
We want to create a project that's going to deliver power to, for, and by the people in Brixton, and to help propagate that across London, to get expanded into larger estates on the rooftops across the UK.
Through my work and my history, I learned that the energy transition only will succeed if citizens are given, for instance, the right to put a solar panel on their roof and to use the electricity themselves, and that the excess goes to the grid and that they get something for it in return. So when we examined what the turbine would produce, it would produce enough for more than 100 families. And so we wanted to sell the excess electricity to the grid. And we went to the distribution system operator. And we said, well, we can't use all this electricity. Can't we sell it to the grid? What will you give us? So if you want to get rid of the electricity, you will have to pay us to get rid of it. Yeah, there's a confrontation, of course, because when people make their own energy, the incumbent big energy companies, they lose income, and they don't like this, of course. Yeah. Fighting these energy companies, that's one of the big challenges that everyone would encounter when they try to do something similar with an energy cooperative.
De joveneta vaig escollir, soc enginyera industrial, també perquè per canviar el món d'alguna manera, coses que tinguessin un impacte, no? Quan vaig descobrir ja de gran que hi havia l'energia renovable, no, vaig pensar, ostres, doncs és que s'ha d'anar per aquí. Al principi de tot, que nosaltres volíem tenir la nostra generació i vam començar amb petits projectes fotovoltaics sobre teulada.
These are my solar panels. Join us, become a member. We are called Som Energia. The electricity company said if some people are going to put solar panels on their roofs, it's one consumer less. And we already have not enough consumers. We need more consumers. And the government didn't want it basically because the big companies in the field said
el govern que hi havia en aquell moment no era massa de com no afavorir el renovable i va implementar el que en aquell moment li deien l'impuesto al sol.
So I would put a few panels on my roof, I would consume the electricity from my panels, and for this consumption I would still have to pay to the system a certain amount per kilowatt hour.
I que ens vam trobar que no sabíem com continuar produint la nostra electricitat.
A big company making a few billions will keep turning out every trick they have in order to protect the profitability of their business. And it was an effective way to sabotage the whole sector.
El govern que hi havia aquí han llançat d'alguna manera els lleons. Em costa realment ser optimista. La lluita contra el canvi climàtic és un repte tan gran que tenim que no volem deixar-ho en mans d'aquestes grans corporacions, que pensem que els ciutadans, les persones, hem d'estar al centre d'aquesta lluita. Jo sé que tenim l'obligació de ser optimistes.
Community energy can only thrive if there is an economical and legal framework in which it can thrive. And to bring community energy from the local level to the European level. And so we need people to change the law so that we can compete.
The big energy companies have an incredible amount of power. They have armies of lobbyists and lawyers that put them in the position to maintain their market share. My name is Josh Roberts, and I am the Advocacy Officer for the European Federation of Energy Cooperatives. I started my career fighting windmills. And a few years later, I've actually changed my stance on that because I saw the community energy movement as an incredible opportunity to decarbonize the energy system, to fight against unmitigated commercial aspirations, and empower everyday citizens. So we really saw the need to put policy in place at the EU level to make sure that citizens do not lose their place at the table. The Clean Energy Package is exactly what it sounds like. It's a package of clean energy. This package consists of maybe 8 different pieces of EU legislation that include market-based rules for renewable energy production and energy efficiency.
The European Union said we have underwritten the Climate Change Convention. We need to reduce our energy by 25 to 40% in 2020 to do the minimum, but they were not acting. And that's why we need a clean energy package.
It's very game-changing, but it's important that we get language in there that says that anybody participating in the market needs to be treated equally.
So we need a government that brings a level playing field.
This is just a revolt against the energy system itself and saying we can do better. It is a coup. It's a coup by citizens. It's citizens actually engaging in their policy-making process. Within the clean energy package, and even still, we were far outnumbered by the armies of the energy companies. This was like a David and Goliath situation. So I try to be as optimistic as possible. I have to be.
¿La actual crisis económica la están sufriendo las empresas energéticas igual que los ciudadanos?
No, para nada.
Recordo perfectament que es va fer un documental a la televisió espanyola que era focalitzat sobretot en aquest tema de l'oligopoli energètic. La setmana després, els telèfons de Som Energia és que no paraven de trucar, I aquell moment va marcar un abans i un després també a Som Energia. Al veure com hi havia tots aquests poders d'alguna manera influint en les polítiques energètiques, Espanya era en el moment en què la crisi financera i això també va fer que la gent perdés molta confiança en el sistema econòmic, que la gent realment també estava en un estat d'això, necessito els meus pocs estalvis que tinc.
It woke people up and also decided that part of the money that they have, they wanted to invest it directly in something that they believe in and that they think is important.
Molta gent va dir, ostres, jo vull tenir la meva elèctrica. Vull formar part d'una cooperativa.
Esta es una de las 3 plantas que Son Energía tiene en Andalucía, planta fotovoltaica.
The rabbit is out of the hat and it's unstoppable right now. But it took a change in the political landscape to get this started. But it's very dependent on government regulation. The work currently being done on a European level by Dirk and Josh is extremely important for citizens and energy cooperatives around Europe, because that's where the basic rules are being decided.
Legislation at the EU level, it's incredibly challenging. We knew we would have to fight for it, so we kind of collaborated together with our band of merry men.
Are you with me?
We had to lobby the political parties and also the labor unions and so on.
The conservatives, for instance, they were completely just listening to companies and not caring what we were saying to them at all.
From this night on, I use every means in my power to fight you.
The Greens were the most obvious allies that we had. The 5-Star Movement really took this issue to heart, and those two managed to convince a lot of other parties as well to really get our ideas in and to have some quite savvy MEPs who were willing to put their political capital on the line to make sure that this stuff got in.
If you don't set up the support mechanism, then nothing will happen. And so that's why it's very important that we have this legislation on energy cooperatives. And the lesson I learned is you have to be stubborn, because what we do is ethically correct.
Sondern unsere Frage war einfach, was können wir selber, jeder Einzelne machen, um uns schnellstmöglich von der Atomenergie zu verabschieden.
Ja.
Und dann war die Idee, okay, wenn die oben nichts tun, dann müssen wir eben von unten was tun. Und dann müssen wir schauen, dass wir viele Mitstreiter finden, mit denen wir das zusammentun können.
Und daraufhin hat sich dann erst bei diesem Schönauer zu Hause so die ersten Treffen stattgefunden. Eltern, die sich da zusammengefunden haben, denen es ähnlich ging.
So ist dann die Idee entstanden, hier das Stromnetz zu übernehmen, was ja eigentlich eine wahnwitzige Idee ist, ihrer Gemeinde gegen einen alteingesessenen Energieversorger, der das hier schon seit damals beinahe 100 Jahren gemacht hat.
Jetzt kam die Gegenseite und sagte, nee, also das müssen wir jetzt diesmal auch wieder in einem Bürgerentscheid entscheiden lassen.
Nur auf der Basis des gegenwärtigen Rechts.
WA hat natürlich die gesamte Propagandamaschinerie angeschmissen. Örtlicher Arbeitgeber, großer Fabrikherr, schaltet eine Anzeige in der Zeitung. Also wenn die EWS das Netz übernimmt, dann gehen ja die Strompreise durch die Decke. Dann wandern wir hier ab und lassen uns woanders nieder. Also da wurde auch richtig die Angsttrommel geschürt. Als 14-Jähriger greift dich das vielleicht schon an, wenn irgendein erwachsener Mann sowas ist und sagt, du, sag mal, deinen Eltern haben sie auch ins Gehirn geschissen, ne? So Sprüche musste man sich halt anhören. Bürgerentscheid war an einem Sonntag, ich kann mich noch genau erinnern. Samstag war auch ein Fernsehteam bei uns, interviewt meine Eltern und mein Vater sinniert darüber, ob wir wegziehen, wenn wir das morgen verlieren. Und da hatten wir Kinder schon auch Angst, sag mal, einfach wegziehen zu müssen. Wir sind hier in die Schule gegangen, wir hatten hier unsere Freunde, schon allein deswegen wollte keiner von uns das verlieren. Ja. Und das war ein richtig heftiger Wahlkampf. Wir hatten damals eine Wahlbeteiligung dann von knapp 90%.
Somit ist der Bürgerentscheid im Sinne der Frage Ja entschieden.
Wir haben es ganz knapp gewonnen mit 52,5%. Also es war eine enge Kiste. Und wir waren, glaube ich, alle sehr erleichtert, als wir das gewonnen hatten an dem Abend.
Am nächsten Morgen wachst du auf und sagst, oh, was, ist eine tolle Idee, aber wie soll das gehen?
Wir bestimmen dann selbst, das ist eigentlich das Wichtige. Wir kaufen das Netz und dann bestimmen wir selbst, was wir machen dürfen und was nicht in erneuerbaren Energie. Wir können bestimmen und das war das Ziel.
Jetzt hatten wir aber natürlich diese fehlenden 4,7 immer noch nicht. Und dann hat irgendjemand aus der Gruppe gesagt, das war damals die Zeit der irren Ideen. Lass uns die 50 größten deutschen Werbeagenturen anschreiben, ob die nicht eine Kampagne für uns machen wollen. Aber natürlich für umsonst, ja, weil wir haben ja kein Geld, wir brauchen ja welches. 15 haben sich zurückgemeldet und haben gesagt, dass sie das gerne tun würden. Radiosender, diese Spendenaufrufe, ständig, jede Stunde. Wochenlang ganzseitig diesen Spendenaufruf kostenlos abgedruckt hat. Dann strömte. Da war alles dabei. Also da war Taschengeld von Kindern dabei, da war Geburtstagsgeld von Senioren dabei, da war diese legendäre Anekdote mit hier unserer Nachbarin aus dem Elsass, die uns einfach kommentarlos 10.000 D-Mark überwiesen hat. Und dann hat sie ein nettes kleines Dankesbriefchen von uns bekommen, hat zurückgeschrieben. Sie hat sich so gefreut über den Brief. Sie hat uns gleich nochmal 10.000 überwiesen.
Die Idee auf dem Tisch, aber ich könnte jetzt nicht sagen, ich glaube, die ist da so der Heilige Geist ist hier runtergefallen. Das ist ein geiles Gefühl, ein absolut geiles Gefühl.
Wenn die Idee gut ist, dann wird man auch immer das notwendige Geld dafür einsammeln. Weil Geld ist im Überfluss vorhanden. Gute Ideen sind ja eher knapp. Zum 1. Juli 1997 haben wir das Netz übernommen.
A group of Schönau residents literally seized power by buying the local power plant and turning it into the EWS cooperative. there's a remarkable energy revolution underway.
So this trunking right here has the energy supply right from the solar panels.
It takes the solar from the rooftop here and then goes into the building and powers the lifts, lighting, and individual flats. And not only that, it allows them to have a community fund, financial revenue, which they can then deal with what is important to this community. And now, there's 127 community groups in 34 stations across London, in 42 schools, and working with the National Health Service and education system, all coming together into a cooperative, the first community energy project on social housing in the UK.
En aquest moment, 67.000 socis de Som Energia, un soci i un vot. El que passa que també creixem, no? Hem crescut ràpidament i no ho atrapem, no?
After the Commission's proposal was released, we were fairly ecstatic. We got everything that we wanted.
Now every household, every person becomes an active player in the energy sector.
This is Europe's man on the moon moment.
This is incredible. We really felt we were welcomed by the European Commission.
Once the legislation was finalized, I mean, it was amazing. It was transformative. My perspective was, okay, yes, we celebrate a little bit, but in the back of my head, I'm always thinking 2 steps ahead.
When community energy wins, the ones who lose market share, which are the incumbent big energy companies, they don't like it. Huh?
These other big energy companies have a horde of lawyers whose jobs are, how do we get around this provision to make it work for us?
And what do they do to counter this? They copy us.
The industry is starting to take over these projects from the citizens. And they've said, okay, well, we like renewables, but let's change the rules that give us ownership and control of renewable energy production, and ultimately taking the profits of that development away from the citizens.
And this is a big problem, because the energy transition only will succeed if it's supported by the citizens. I will give you an example. A wind turbine can be annoying, but it turns out that people love the wind turbine when it's theirs, and they can make profit from it. The ownership is crucial.
The armies of the energy companies are lobbying the Commission under the radar of everybody's noses for rules that make it as hard as possible for us to get into the market, and we have to fight against that. So now the real work is ahead of us.
Mein großer Traum wäre wirklich 100% erneuerbare Energien weltweit. Energie von Bürgern für Bürger. Nur 100% erneuerbare Energien reicht nicht. Es hat auch viel mit Energiegerechtigkeit zu tun. Diese Energie muss wirklich auch jedem Bürger auf dieser Erde zur Verfügung stehen. Und dann wäre in der Tat mein großer Traum nicht zuletzt, weil ich auch 4 Kinder habe, dass es uns noch gelingt, in Sachen Klimawandel das Ruder wirklich rumzureißen. Ja.
There's 2 forms of energy. You have renewable energy, and you have the human energy, the sort of hive mind coming together, blasts through anything. It can go around the problem like water. And that provides me with hope that we can make a difference.
Weil es zeigt, was Bürger erreichen können, wenn sie es denn wollen, wenn sie hart daran arbeiten. viel Freude, wenn man einen Sieg erreicht hat oder wenn man etwas umgesetzt hat. Das ist dieses Gefühl, wir sind nicht machtlos, wir müssen nicht mutlos sein, sondern wir Bürger, wir können ganz, ganz viel erreichen.
Aquesta, no? De dir, ostres, per més petits que siguem, hem de poder enfrontar-nos amb aquests reptes i aquests problemes tan grans. No hem de tenir por, no? No hem de deixar que ho facin els altres per nosaltres. És el poder de la gent, és el poder de la gent. Sí, sí, és que és el poder de la gent.
Wir haben Brot für alle Menschen. In der Hand, wir haben Not und Hunger. In der Hand, wir haben vollgefressene Webste. Für mich. In der Hand, wir haben Tod und Leben. In der Hand.
Wir haben die Wahl unserer Regierung. In der Hand, wir haben das Leben anderer Menschen. In der Hand, wir haben die Zukunft unserer Kinder. In der Hand, wir haben uns selber in der Hand.
Halleluja!
He's got the whole